We're going to create the Automoblox Female Figure with the triangular base. We're going to be using lofting to create most of the female figures. It's a really useful skill. So let's get started. Start sketch and the XY plane. Now, she has a triangular base, so that's what we're going to start. Choose polygon, and of course triangles have 3 sides. And I usually avoid using the origin, but this time I'm going to, and there's a reason. So click on the origin and go straight out the x-axis, and a click, and a right click OK. And now we're going to go ahead and dimension this. We're going to start here, click on that point, and this should be 0.566, 566 thousandths across. Now we're going to extrude that base 0.32. And I'm going to choose to extrude in the other direction so that I can have the sketch facing me. Click OK. Now that little center point is now gone, and I want to bring it back. So I'm going to right click on sketch 1. I expanded the extrusion 1, and now I'm going to choose share sketch. And so that you can see the little point shows up now. Now what we want to do is start adding ellipses. The female body of the Automoblox female body, she's made up of a lot of different ellipses. There's a total of 5 ellipses that we're going to make. Wow, 5 ellipses. I've never made that many ellipses in my entire life. It must be what you're thinking. Well, you're going to today. Let's go ahead and make another sketch right on the top of this triangle. And you can see there's our little center point that we're going to be using. And right up here where it says circle, we're going to choose ellipse. Now there's a couple different ways of making an ellipse. One would be just to click here, move out to the right, just some guess of a distance, and then come up here vertically and click. And boom, there's an ellipse. And right click OK. Now this ellipse is way too big, so we need to dimension it. And the long axis is 0.125. So we're going to click the side of this, come down, and make that 0.125, 125 thousandths. So you can see, much smaller. And the short axis, we're going to dimension that 0.105. And there's our ellipse. Now, we're going to extrude this, but it's going to be a particular size extrusion. We could do a taper extrusion like we did before, but instead, we're going to use the loft to get just the right shape, because it's not uniform all the way around in the way we expand. And I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to finish the sketch, and we're going to choose plane and click on this surface, and I just click and hold and just drag it outward. And you can see right there that it's ready for me to enter a value. The work offset plane, I like to use about 0.19 for my distance. This plane, this first work plane, number 1, 0.19 distance away from the top of the triangle. Now we can make another ellipse, but to do that, we have to make a second sketch. Now, earlier on, I would have told you should never have more than one sketch. So I have sketch 1 is visible, so I can see the center point. Sketch 2 and sketch 3 are unconsumed, with a work plane in between. Well, that's because we're lofting. So lofting is a special case where you're going to have more than one sketch open, because we're going to be working with both sketches when we create our loft. So we're going to create another ellipse, again, on the center point, but this time I'm going to use a different technique than last time. I'm going to choose construction and line, click on that center point and come out to the right, and it's going to be 0.140 or 140 thousandths. That's our first line. Our second construction line, I'm going to come up our y-axis, and it's going to be 0.110. So now this gives us two separate points to anchor our new ellipse to right at the right dimension. So we don't have to redimension that part. So we click ellipse. Oh, there we go. So we're good. Click there. It should have showed it because we were... Zoom in, make sure we hit that right, that green dot. And, this is a mistake I often make. I left it in construction. So I'm going to right click and turn off that construction so it's a real line. And then left click. Make sure you left click if you made the same mistake as I did. This is excellent. Now we can extrude this. So we choose... All right, that's excellent. Now we can do a loft instead of an extrusion. So we choose loft. And the first sketch is sketch 2. And you can see it's already chosen the ellipse. And so now we're going to click to add. Sketch 3. And you can see it's showing us a preview already. We don't even have to click the surfaces that we're interested in. And we go ahead and click OK. And there you go. That's what it looks like. So there's our first step. Onward and upward. Start a 2D sketch. We're going to choose the work plane again. All right, we're going to make another ellipse. Again, centered at the same spot. Click there. Click there. Choose OK. Now this one, the long axis from one end all the way to the other end, from here all the way to here, needs to be 0.60. So we want half of that. 0.60 divided by 2, or of course 0.30. And this distance is going to be 0.40 divided by 2. 0.40 divided by 2, which of course is 0.20. And so that's the distance. 0.40 is how far it is from here all the way to here. And so we needed a measurement of half that from the center point outward. We'll finish the sketch. And now it's time for the next work plane. The next work plane is 0.36 away from this previous work plane. So I click and hold, drag outward, 0.36, enter. And again, this is going to have another sketch on it. And again, we're going to put another ellipse. So we need another sketch. So this time we're going to choose construction lines. So the long axis has a total distance of 0.39. So we're going to divide that by 2. 0.39 divided by 2. And we're going to make another construction line from the center upward. And the total distance of the short axis is 0.31. So 0.31 divided by 2, because we need half that distance. 1.55. And we click OK. All right, now we're ready to make that next ellipse. We're going to turn construction off, choose ellipse, find that central point, the green dot, and there's our long axis direction, and we're going to come up until we find our short axis point. And there's the waist, and finish sketch. We need one more work plane. Here's the bottom of the skirt. Here's the waist of their outfit. And now we need the shoulders. So we're going to click and hold with the left finger and move outward. And this is 0.34. 0.34 is the distance of this work plane number 3 from work plane number 2. 0.34. And again, we'll put a sketch on it. And at this point you might be wondering, how many of these work planes can you make and then loft from one to the other to the other? Well, I don't know. It seems infinite. I know you can do quite a few. So Inventor might tell me, nope, there is a limit. But as far as I know, there is none. So we choose ellipse again. And this time, I'm just going to go ahead and dimension it. So this one is a little bigger. So I'm going to go out a little farther and up a little higher. This is, of course, the shoulders. Right-click OK. And let's go ahead and add some dimensions. So from one end to the other, this long axis is 0.76. 0.76. So we need to divide that by 2. 0.76 divided by 2. And the short axis is 0.54 divided by 2. Because the length of the short axis from here to here is 0.54. So we divided that by 2. All right, we're in good shape. So we finished the sketch. So now we have an ellipse for the bottom of her skirt, an ellipse for the waist, and an ellipse for the shoulders. So we need to connect these three by using a loft. So what do? Should we connect all three of them at the same time? Or should we do from the bottom of the skirt, from the hem to the waist, and then do from the waist to the shoulders as 2 separate steps? How about if we do both? We'll take a look at it, and you can see what kind of different results you get by the 2 different methods. So I'm going to start with doing all 3 of them at the same time. That's crazy, Mr. Riedinger. You can't do that. Huh. We can. I can. You can. We all can. So I'm going to start with sketch number 4, right? This is sketch number 4. Click to add, sketch number 5. Click to add, sketch number 6. And look at that. We got this fancy schmancy loft. So let's see what that looks like. Interesting. So we're going to hit OK and take a look. Wow, that is interesting. It doesn't look like the figure, but it is an interesting shape. We could maybe use this on some other part, some other creation, some other design of yours. But for this one, I don't think this is quite right. So I'm going to go ahead and delete Loft 2. I still want to keep my consumed sketches. Those are important because we're going to do this again, but just using a different method, and click OK. Now I choose Loft again, sketch 4 like last time, click to add, sketch 5 like last time, but I'm going to stop here. I'm only going to go from the hem of the skirt to the waist of the skirt and choose OK. And we're going to do it again. Loft. I'm going to choose sketch 5, click to add, sketch 6, and click OK. And now that looks a lot more like the Automoblox figure. So we're going to keep that. Now I don't need these work planes anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility. Make it maybe a little bit easier for you to see what's going on. And understand the next step. Sketch 1 also has served its purpose. The visibility of that can be turned off. We're almost there. The poor lady, though, does not have a head, and we need to add that on. We're going to use a similar technique as we did with the male Automoblox figure. I'm going to make this the front view now. That previous view has served its purpose. Right-click on the house, set current view as home, fit to view. Of course, we need to put this head right smack dab in the middle. Occasionally, my students get this off to one side or the other, and this is going to be useful also for making our plane. So I'm going to choose through center of circular or elliptical edge, and you could choose any one of these ellipses, like this one on the hem, the waist, the shoulder. As you can see, they all produce an axis. So I clicked on the one on the shoulder, and now there's a central axis running right through the center of the part. Work axis number 1. Now we can add our plane. I need a surface that's perpendicular to the direction I want that plane to run. So I'm going to click plane. That was a left click. I'm going to click on our axis, and now it wants to make a work plane. So I'm going to choose this plane over here on her left side. If this is her front over here, this is her left side. And choose OK. Now we can put a sketch on that work plane and come up with some sort of shape for a head. We could use ellipse. Let's project the geometry of that central plane. Choose ellipse. To lollipop, right? So let's click there. And I know it's construction. That's okay with me for the moment, because I was planning on adding some more features. This is just a little too symmetrical for a normal head. I do want that one to not be construction. Left click, turn off construction. And let's go ahead and complete this down to right about there. And let's trim away some of the stuff we don't want. I need a neck. And we need to trim it. And we need to complete this line, because we need a closed loop. So we'll come down here, draw the bottom of her neck. Now we do have a construction line here, but I think we can get rid of that. Let's go ahead and do the revolve. We chose our profile, we choose our axis, and there she is. Let's turn off that last work plane. And there's the Automoblox Female. All right, look forward to seeing your results. Thank you very much for watching another Robot Riedinger production.